Hello Dino Navy, my name is Psyron, and welcome to Psyron Fights, where today we are going to be putting my characters up against other characters from other IP and franchises. Ooh, super cool. I'm actually really excited for this. Now, you may notice this video is probably very small, I don't know, because I've already done all the research and things that I need for this. So I have it almost as like a PowerPoint presentation or like a Google slide, a Canva almost. We're gonna change this to purple now. Haven't done purple now because we're on the purple side. Look at this nice logo though. This is an awesome logo. What was that? What did that one girl say? Wait, whoa, hey, whoa, hey, whoa. Why is there a dot? There's a random outlined dot. There we go. Something is usually a part you remember anyways. Anyway, so we're gonna be getting into this. I am your host, Referee Psyron. Hi! So, there's Critic Psyron, Psyron, Editor Psyron, and Referee Psyron. There are many of us, and I am multiplying. 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 Anyway, so we're gonna get into this. I just love this logo that I made. This beautiful, beautiful logo. Awesome. Anyway, we're gonna have this here. I feel like I could have this much bigger. No, because it's gonna interfere with the thing. I will increase and decrease the size throughout this video. So anyway, before we get into who our contestants are, our opponents are for today, we had to get into the rules that will be here. Now, these can change, I think, but I don't plan on changing them as of right now, because I kind of want these to be pretty solid. So anyway, we're gonna the ools. Hello, our ools. That no sound. Nah, really? It's almost as if I'm doing something that doesn't require sound. Okay. Rules here. We have no story. Ooh, hey, whoa, hey, whoa. I need to be careful of that. I need to be careful of accidentally doing that. No storytellers. So essentially, the storyteller is, if you don't know, is a fifth tier being who appears in two installments, but is mentioned in four, I think. He's mentioned in more installments than he actually appears in. But, I'm looking at myself. Here we go. That's much better. Hey, whoa. So he's actually a fifth tier being. He appears in Polymania, which is the fifth installment, so like the very end of the first like saga, and then the 10th installment that I'm working on, he actually appears a lot more than he does in Polymania because he's more relevant. But he is the most powerful god in all of the universes. There are 10 universes, and in how to probably make a universe, which is the 10th installment that I'm currently working on right now, that I'm kind of procrastinating, not gonna lie. I'm starting to procrastinate them more and more. I really do need to give myself a break, but I'm afraid if I give myself too big of a break, I'm gonna end up just stopping altogether. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to think about that. But anyway, so the storyteller is the most powerful god, and he could beat all of fiction, but he won't, because I think I said it when he was still an early character, like early development, which was that he's morally neutral. So he's kind of just existing in the center. So like there's all the universes, bop 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 bop, and then he's lying right in the middle of all of them. So yeah. So he's 5th tier, and there isn't a thing or a person who can defeat him, which is why no storyteller. Number 2, characters must be similar. So they must be similar or related in some way. You'll see that with the 2 contestants we have for today, which I actually had a vote. So the one person who voted, who's definitely not watching this right now, you chose those 2 characters who will be fighting. But yeah, they must be similar or related in some way. Pretty much self-explanatory. One character per franchise or IP. I think I already said that. But the way that works is, I say one character per franchise. It's not actually like what it sounds. If take FNAF for example, that whole thing is a franchise, but I could take like individual characters from each game, like Ennard from Sister Location and the Glamrock Endos from Security Breach or Ruin. Like those are different enough, like and far apart enough to count as a different thing. So like from each of the games that would count. But if it were something like Amanda the Adventurer, where it really focuses on the same exact characters because it's like one continuing story. All 3 games, I can't say, oh, I'll do Wooly from the first game, and then Amanda from the second, and then the Woolly Demon from the third. That doesn't work. That's where it kind of draws the line. Same thing with analog horror. If I go Mandela catalog, like the alternates, I can't do that again. You see what I'm saying? So if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Characters must be at a similar tier. So the tier system, I have written down like definitions, and they are subject to change based off of how the lore develops in my thing. But for the most part, they are pretty standardized. It has a lot to do, more to do with the what they can do, like affect by people around them, and manipulation of matter itself. Because if they can create matter, they can destroy matter, which cannot be done by us. But like there's certain characters like fourth tier on up. That's definitely they are able to do that. So that's where it would be. So characters have to be at a similar tier, and this is also similar to Rule 6 that we'll get to in a minute. Alright, now stay unbiased. 5. Stay unbiased. I have to stay as unbiased as possible because, well, obviously, I'm a referee. Referee Psyron. They gotta be unbiased. They gotta be on both sides, which is why I'm switching and alternating from green to purple. Because they have to be on both sides. They're neutral, just like the storyteller. Remember when I said that? Yeah. So I had to be like that because I am the one who made my own thing, and then I'm just like putting my characters against someone else's. There's some room for bias here, so I'm trying to stay as unbiased as possible. Um, what was I gonna say before about that? Oh, well, I don't remember what I was gonna say. Uh, oh no, oh no. Well, that's a problem. I don't remember. If I remember later, I will be mad, but uh, just know that there was something I'm gonna say, um, about number 5 right here that I forgot. Anyway, number 6, characters must have a fighting chance. This is why I said 4 and 6 are related, because, like, fighting chance, similar tier. They have to be able to, you would have to have, it can't be like a 2-second battle. Oh, you want to fight me? Gone! Bye! Like, it can't just be like that, because if I put Psyron against Pomni from Digital Circus. It's not even close. It's not even close. It's not even close. It's not even close. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Characters have to have a fighting chance. And then number 7, finally, is they have to be an interesting matchup. You know, they can't be basically the same character. Alright, they have to be different enough so that you can tell the difference. But also, like, have some yin and yang, you know? Like, they can have similar powers and things and abilities, but for the most part, they're gonna also be different in their own way. So yeah, has to be interesting. We all know what interesting means. What's the definition of interesting?
Interesting. Arousing curiosity or interest.
This guy knows what he's talking about. This guy knows what he's talking about. All right. Um, it's like for interesting. What would be an example? I can't just go, oh, um, William Carter. Or wait, hold on. I have to. I'm putting William Carter up against Vox from Has Been Hotel. You know, like I can't do that. They're too similar. There's got to be a difference. Which is funny how 7 and Rule 7 and Rule 2 kind of interact. Now, what I mean similar is in their concept. Also, they have to be able to meet. Like, they have to be able to realistically meet, and instead of some sort of like Super Smash Bros. Where they're just there together somehow, they have to be able to realistically meet as well in like a natural feeling, natural feeling scenario. So yeah, that has to be an interesting matchup. And that's all for the rules of Psyron fights. So we are ready to get into who's actually going to be fighting today. I'm referee Psyron once again, and introducing to you is Freddy Kruger versus Dexter the REMgeist. Here we are. I feel like most people probably know who Freddy Krueger is, but who was Dexter the REMgeist? Dexter is the guide for all of the Incognito Hazardous streamers in not only Incognito Hazard, which is the original installment, but also Happy Incognito Hazardous Home, which will be one of the final of the 20 installments. It'll be 5 installments long. It's gonna be a big boy. It's gonna be a big boy installment. So yeah. And this is the guy who's kind of keeping everything in check. Make sure that they don't fall into chaos. Make sure that nightmares don't get them. Because in Happy Incognito Hazardous Home, I feel like this is okay for me to say without being too spoilery. Lots of his powers also, lots of this guy's powers get very spoilery for, Happy Incognito Hazardous Home. Such a mouthful of a title. Can I call it something? Wait. Hey. Alright, so for hey. We'll call it Incog 2. No, that sounds like something. That sounds like something different. Anyway. So he's just trying to make sure, because when they're in there, because they kind of give up on trying to get their actual name, because they realize defeating the Figments won't actually do anything for them. Like, they won't gain anything from that. This probably gets a little bit too spoilery, but I'm gonna say it here just to kind of also solidify it as fact and lore, because lots of what's going on there is unstable lore, which is at the end of Incognito Hazard, Intimate, like, kind of gains lucid dream powers, which is weird, because Dexter tells him if he tries hard enough, he might be able to influence them. Which, not only believing that, but also having slipped into more of a lucid dream as he started dreaming more, actually allowed him to have the powers associated with lucid dreaming, which is possible. Like, taking being in the dreamscape does not mean you can't lucid dream. It just means you can't wake up. That's the whole point. So yeah, So he's the guy who makes sure, and being in there for so long because they gave up. Nightmares have started to like be attracted and drawn in, and nightmares and figments are very different because when a figment gets you, you teleport back to the hub and you just forced to retry the level. You're forced to retry the thing. If a nightmare gets you, you're done. Like, you're done. Anyway, that's enough explanation of that. We're on to Freddy Kruger's powers. Over here. Yay! Alright, so his powers are manipulating the dreamscape. Now, I did not invent the term dreamscape, but it's funny how we use the same term. So in this instance, in this hypothetical, we're gonna have to make a lot of assumptions here, because I only did so much research. I'm going to have to make a lot of assumptions, so any Nightmare on Elm Street fans, please don't get mad. Nobody's watching this anyway. Alright, manipulating the dreamscape. This is essentially the dreamscape in my lore, and the dreamscape for them probably just means dream world, like just when you dream, that's what it is. But for dreamscape for me, there's a certain thing you gotta do to get there. Anyway, why am I shaking? It's the purple, it's the bad vibes, it's the bad energy. Come on, green, there we go. Here we go. Alright, number 2. Shape-shifting. He can change into any form or any, like, size or anything, you know, that he wants to in order to terrorize his victim. In this case, it would be his opponent, because I don't know who's gonna win. I do know, but I'm not gonna tell you until the very end. Okay, anyway, possession is number 3. But only when they're wearing his glove. So when someone wears his glove, he's able to possess them. Not too sure how that works, but possession is a thing in there. What's it? Maybe, why is my voice so shaky? Stop vibrating. It's not cold in here. Particularly, yeah, it's like room temperature. I don't know why. I'm like, anyway. Number 4 is reading minds. He can read people's minds, which makes sense in the fact that he's not a dream demon, but dream demons like gave him his power in exchange for being their agent, I believe. So it kind of makes sense that would be one of his powers, because, like, dreaming has to do a lot with the mind, you know? So anything that includes dreaming in the mind, well, reading minds is not too far off from that, so makes sense. Number 5 is soul absorption, so he's kind of pulling a little bit of a Ceruleus when or Doxes in general, when they consume their victims, their souls go into their eyes. Because that is a lot of symbolism. Because Oculus, Divine Oculus, is the one who designed the Dox. I think. Yeah, that's pretty much. And, that's not lore I'm making up just now. Definitely not. And I think I did say that before to myself. I don't think I ever said it in a video. Anyway, so yeah, soul absorption. And 3, necromancy. Whoa. What was that voice crack? Yeah. Number 6, necromancy. It's when you bring people back from the dead, in case you didn't know. Alright, on to his weaknesses. Is, being pulled into the real world. When you're being pulled into the real world. In Soviet Russia, you don't dream. Or, you don't wake up. No. Okay, I was gonna come up with one of those, but it didn't work. Number 2 is fear of fire. He has a fear of fire. Could be useful. Number 3 being forgotten, which is kind of like a no-duh, almost. Not really. But, if you're a someone who exists only through dreams, and people forget you, can they really have you in their dreams? No. Because they forgot you. I mean, how many times do you remember some random people, just walking on the street? How many times do you remember them? But your brain does. So basically, any NPC in your dreams, their face is actually the face of anybody you've seen in public or other things. Similar to how you can recognize people in your dreams and you're like, oh, I know you. I don't know who I am. Has anybody seen that? Wait, okay, wait, hold on. On an unrelated note, has anybody seen that one, like, anti-vaping, ad? Like, PSA? Because, I swear, that one animal, there's an extended version of it, and one of them's like, aren't you an elk? Or no, they're like, oh dear, huh? And then eventually it's like, aren't you an elk? And then there's that one thing that I don't know what it is either, but every single time it's like, I don't know what I am, or something along, it's like that voice, and every single time I see that ad, I'm like, well, you're the duck from DHMIS. You're the duck from DHMIS. It actually sounds, please tell me, there's no way, I'm probably not the only one, but I'm the only one I've told that to. What? Okay, anyway. Number 4, people stopping fearing him. Similar, like, these two are tied, obviously. Stopping fearing him. If you stop fearing him, he gone. Kinda, wait, what is that similar to? Fear. The Night Mist? Not really, but there was another who ran on fear. Blood and fear. If you stop fearing this horror character, he has like power over you. I'm playing stupid. Halfway through, I started just playing stupid. Obviously, I know it's it. You'll float too and all that, you know, type beat. Okay, 5, holy water. I guess that makes sense. Tier, so this is where I come in. I've decided to place him at like either a 2 or a 4, because 2, most of these, because he was a human originally, that means he really doesn't have any species powers. Meaning any of these powers are either supernatural or they're immortal powers. So just look here, manipulating dreamscape. I mean, if you think about it, just about anybody could manipulate the dreamscape if they're lucid dreaming, you know what I'm saying? The something was usually the part you remember anyways. Okay. So yeah, soul absorption, you know, reading mind. Soul absorption is not a species power, it's for us humans, but it is for doxes. But in this case, it's supernatural. Reading mind, supernatural, all these are supernatural, except for necromancy. Necromancy, bringing people back from the dead, is a immortal one, which is why I put him in also kind of 4th tier. So I was a little unsure about that, but that kind of fits him. That fits with Dexter the REMgeist here. Anyway, height, 5 foot 9 inches. Got a short king in here. That is 1 inch taller than me. For a reference, either this is an inch, or you may have also known that this is an inch, or what's the other one? This. Some people, this is an inch. So like, no. I'm gonna get rid of that, right?
They don't even know what you're asking me to get rid of.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's why I looked. Anyway, his age is 45. Unk! He unk status. Okay, it's a joke. Because 44 is already Unk status, honestly. He was Unk status a long time ago. Anyway, now moving on to Dexter. Here we go. Oh, wow. Dexter the REMgeist. Hello. Aren't you the sweetest little guy on here? That's a face. That is a face. So, spoilers here. I just gave you a cognito hazard because now you've just been spoiled and you will always remember this for the rest of time. Okay, so powers. Also manipulating the dreamscape, also possession, and also reading minds. Now, he doesn't do 2 out of 3 of the ones I just listed right now in Incognito Hazard, but he can do them. Now, I'm not saying he will do them, but he can, and that's the important part, and that's the technically correct, and it's the best kind of correct. Alright, and possession only when dreaming, incognito hazardously dreaming. Yeah, so only when you take a vitamin DXTR, that's when he can possess you. But only in the dreamscape. He's not like he can possess your sleeping body and make it do things. That would be a cool concept, but not here. I'm not gonna, cause like, why would he need to? That's the thing. That's not what he's here to do. So he doesn't need to do that. Number 4, anger. Oh, the rage. Oh, the fury. Anger. We'll get into that in a minute. Number 5. Never. Never. Yes, never. I don't know why. I feel like maybe the reason I'm shaking is because my body's nervous, but my brain isn't. I don't know. Maybe because I'm explaining my lore. I don't know. Because I don't usually do that too much. No, I do. I think I do. I don't know. Anyway, fever dream, but only when someone questions his power. I don't know why I had such a late reaction to that, but I just heard some in my left ear. Anyway, so both the number 4 and number 5 are powers that Dexter does not know he has. And that's the scary bit, and it'll get even more scarier. Even more scarier, yes, more scarier. When I explain what anger is. It should be called danger. Danger. Okay. And then number 6, extending limbs 3 meters from his torso. That's going to be a joke, a bit of a joke in the first part to Happy Incognito Hazardous Home. Oh, I didn't know there was a limit to that extension. Or something along those lines. Oh, I have never seen you reach your limit on, yeah, something like that. Anyway. Weaknesses! Come on. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. You're the right hand. Okay, anyway. Piano music. It calms him down, soothes him. It's not like the puppet where it puts him to sleep or it puts him to rest or anything, but it does, like, calm him down and get him to a more normal state, mentally and physically. Which is not something you really want to do in a fight if you're trying to win. So yeah, if you're trying to win a fight, you don't want to be calming down. You gotta ramp up, dude. Oh, you want more? Oh, she's a little ugly, but we're gonna make her pretty. Oh, doinkus. Anyway, yeah. Incognito hazardous dreamers waking up. Well, no duh. If you wake up, he has no more effect on you. but there is a little bit of a technicality with that. See, the drug that allows you to fall asleep and then enter the dreamscape, actually, if you wake up and it's still in your system and then you go back to sleep, you will fall into the same dream again. And you will be stuck in there, and chances are you're not gonna get your name twice. So you're kinda cooked. Hate to break it to you, but you're cooked if you fall asleep again, which is also just the most unlucky thing. Honestly, if you do, like, purposefully go back to sleep after having woken up from a dream, from an incognito hazardous dream, what have you experienced that's worse than that, honestly? Well, okay, it's not actually all that bad. It's not like it's a nightmare, because nightmares can't get you. Or, well, there's a slight risk for them, but as I fiddle with my hair, we say that the third one is avoiding vitamin DXTR. I've mentioned that once before in this video, and I've just realized how long this video is. Oh wow. So avoiding vitamin DXTR is, it's kind of the lazy option. It's like, oh, how do I defeat the alternates in Mandela Catalog? Leave Mandela County. Oh my gosh, I've defeated them. Oh, How do I defeat the skin stealers from Basswood County?
Muffins. I'm gonna make some
I
muffins.
know. I'll just leave Basswood County. I'm a genius. I put water in the empty ones. I am so smart. It's like it's the lazy answer. Avoiding vitamin DXTR. Also, there's a thing about vitamin DXTR, which I think is actually the way that Dexter might have a chance at winning. But I'll explain that later in the actual, like, how the actual fight would go down. And then number 4 is oversaturated colors. It basically, like, puts him into a slightly dazed state and, like, a little bit confusion. He's still perfectly functional. It's like, how do I describe it? I can't describe it. But anyway, and he's also a little bit distracted because of the pain right here. He says it's hurting his treble clef. It's not actually the treble clef. That's just, like, on him. But it's actually, this part of his arm that's hurting. But it is where the treble clef is, so obviously, you know, correlation, causation, and all that, you know. Alright. And his tier is 1/4. So in the dreamscape, he's definitely a 4, that's for sure, just because he can manipulate the dreamscape, which the equivalent, he can kind of create matter and destroy matter within the dreamscape. That's kind of obvious. Also, teleport himself and others, you know, kind of, you know. But also, for the real life, how he could affect you in real life would be, oh yeah, I forgot to say, for Freddy Kruger, the reason he's supernatural in the real, that would be, the 2 could be referring to the real world, and then the 4 in the dreamscape. Alright, but here, he's a 1 because he can kind of influence you, like, maybe if you wake up, you want to, like, yourself, you know? But that's pretty much the most he can do. He can't actually manifest himself in any way in the real world. So that's kind of his weakness? Not really. But, yeah. Height, he's 10 foot 5 inches. Absolute stallion. Bet you didn't know that one. He is really tall. Like, real big tall. Age is set at 30,000. Alright. Now, speaking of height, this is them compared to each other. Oh my gosh, the towering. Now, this is him at his normal height. He can't really change his height besides, like, I guess extending. He can gain 3 meters just by extending his torso up like that, 3 meters. But, for the most part, he could, like, shapeshift and change and be way bigger, or, like, just generally taller than he can. That's pretty much the only other thing. So yeah, how the fight would go down. What was the other thing that I said? Oh, the anger that I said I would say later. And then, what was it? Fear of fire? There was another thing I said I'd discuss in the, when we're saying how the fight would go down. Okay, but how the fight would go down. I think, I'm not gonna say exact detail on how I think, because I don't actually know how Freddy Krueger is in his movies or anything. I don't know his personality, so I'm not gonna say how exactly, like, what they would say or how it would go. But I am gonna say, with both of them manipulating the dreamscape, what one person can do, the other person can undo, and they kind of cancel each other out a little bit. But assuming neither of them undoes what the other person does to make it a little bit more interesting, this is also assuming that either of these guys know what either of their respective weaknesses are, like fear of fire. Dexter could summon them to that one figment, which is Figment 06, the red reptile, I think, where his world is literally a fiery inferno. Which you're also not supposed to look into the fire. I forgot the canonical reason for that, because it's not important, but yeah, you probably just see something really horrifying and stuff. But not only that, but he's just afraid of the fire itself, because I think the lore goes that he was burned alive, and then he made a deal with the dream demons and all that. So yeah. So that's kind of how it, that's probably why he has a fear of fire. But then also, oversaturated colors. He can manipulate the dreamscape to put them into a place with oversaturated colors. Really bright colors, but not only that, but the contrast as well. Because, like, white alone is the most saturated color. This isn't exactly white. This is more gray, but, or like a really light gray, but you get what I mean. It's not just that, but also the contrast between that and other colors. So yeah, with the possession thing, neither of these would, once again, it just like kind of cancel each other out, especially with the things. Dexter is obviously not going to be able to wear his glove because he has 4 fingers, and he can make his fingers really long. But also just the way his hand's shaped, it's not that of a human's, so he really can't wear the glove. And then, only when dreaming. Now, this is assuming a couple of things. Freddy isn't exactly dreaming when he enters a dream. But does that count as dreaming? Is it? Does it? Should it? Shan't it? I don't know. Alright? Reading minds, once again, like, that also cancels each other out because they have really similar powers. But then, here comes the 4th one. Anger. Anger. So, he may sound angry in the original Incognito Hazard. No. We have not seen Dexter angry yet. When he gets mad, he get angry. He get mad. And what happens? He doesn't even know this is happening. Also, by the way, he's completely unaware about what I'm going to mention, what I'm going to describe to you. Dexter doesn't even know is happening or what happened in the aftermath. Alright, so essentially he just completely seizes control over everything that is in the dreamscape. If it's there, it's under his control. And usually it freezes, and then this whole red, like, thing comes over everything, and then he forms into this. All right, so you saw this like happy, nice looking guy, stallion, you know, astute gentleman, right here, right? Such as this guy right here, such as himself. Well, he turns into this. He gains black pupils, and they dilate like crazy. His mouth and eyebrows disappear, which they can disappear when he's not mad, but here they're just gone, and when he speaks, you don't even see it. Alright, there's just no emotion in his face, and that's what it kind of is. His tail grows extremely big, and has like a spiky little thing there where it attaches to him. His fingers elongate, and he gains 2 more limbs, 2 more arms. One with this musical symbol on it, and then the other with like the pattern of a piano on it in stripes. And he's like pauses for like 7 seconds, and then he turns to look at the person who made him angry. God. And just like that, the dreamer is no longer with us. And then everything cuts back to normal. And nobody, I mean genuinely nobody knows what happens. Because when everything freezes, it's like time stops. And it's like nothing, it's like an instantaneous cut, and then just the person's gone. And everybody's like, what? And since Dexter doesn't know either, his performance is actually genuine. Okay, performance is the wrong word. Now I sound like he genuinely doesn't know what happened. He just knows that the person made him angry, and then gone. And it's not like the fever dream either, where they just pass. From his perspective and everybody else's perspective, when they question his, they're like, they question his power, and from everybody else's perspective, they just fall asleep and fall on the floor, and they pull a kind of Inception where they're dreaming within the dream, and it's just a non-stop confusing. You know what a fever dream is, right? We even saw it in Incognito Hazard. That's a perfect example of what's happening. But yeah, so that's what happens, and you wake up when you wake up, essentially. So Internet got lucky that he woke up pretty soon, actually, for most of them. For most fever dreams, they go on for days, but his only went on for a couple of hours. Yeah, so for me, and he doesn't even know why it's happening with 4 and 5. Dexter doesn't even know that it's happening. But yeah, so I feel like thinking about it, they both have such a good chance, because I feel like Freddy, okay, so there's a couple of powers that won't actually work in this instance. I said the word that I wanted to say, but not the word I wanted to say. What was that? In this instance, which is reading minds and possession. Dexter is such a weird concept because he doesn't really have a soul per se. He kind of is the drug, the vitamin DXTR. Which, by the way, the vitamin DXTR is not a vitamin. In case you didn't know. I just gotta clarify that. It is not a vitamin. That is clearly, it is what it is what it is. It's a mix of like little bits of substrate, like fragments, tiny grains of substrate, and then what was it, like magnesium glycinate or something like that? Magnesium something that helps you have a better sleep, and then melatonin. That's what's in it, and it's a mixture of that. And obviously, none of those are vitamins, but that's what makes you like, among other things, that's what's in it for the most part. Um, this is getting too spoilery. Well, I don't know if it's going to be. I can say this. I'll say this right now. There's something on the inside of the J&B Corporation, which is kind of spreading and trying to take it over from within. Which is, and they're using this like vitamin DXTR to kind of make people fall asleep and never wake up again. That gains a new meaning in this world now. And because the J&B Corporation's basis is in Earth, most of the incognito hazardous dreamers are humans. Which is why Intimate is human. Um, he lives in freaking Florida. Now, that doesn't mean they're J&B employees, but they are gonna be human. Because, as you see, Intimate saw an advertisement because they're selling it online. And you can buy it. Which is the most, like, how is it gonna get, like, vitamin counts as supplement, right? Because if it does count as a dietary, yeah, it counts as a dietary supplement. So if the FDA thinks it's a dietary supplement, not a lot of regulation going on there, not gonna lie. Like, there's very little regulation going on. So, gotta, like, bump that down or something. Who's gonna win? I mean, I already know as of right now, so I'm just playing it off as like a hard decision because I've already done the research for this. So, to avoid this video getting any longer from what it is, who will win? Who wins? Who should win, honestly? Because, like, oh no! No! I didn't click that! No! My cam! Oh, my precious cam! My camera! Okay, so I'm real tiny in the corner. Yeah, you can see that. Who wins? I will give you the reason for it right after. Pretty brief explanation, but who wins? Dexter. Now, this is once again, trying to stay as unbiased as possible, because I really gotta explain myself with this. See, with vitamin DXTR, the only way for Freddy Krueger to even meet Dexter, he has to take the vitamin DXTR, so he enters the dreamscape that I call the dreamscape, and then they can actually even meet, let alone be there. And simply taking this drug, he has so much control over you, like way more than you realize and way more than you feel, just because he's super laid back and stuff. He's very lenient and stuff, very slow to anger. Slow to anger, the anger. They're very slow to that. So there's so he so he seems but just because someone's laid back doesn't mean they don't have a lot of power. And yeah, so just by and that's the thing. Just just Freddy having taken that drug is like him giving up lots of his control. Now, obviously, he still has lots of free will, because his being able to possess people kind of counteracts with him being able to possess. It's like canceling each other out, like I already said. So that's why I have to give it to Dexter in this one. Also the next one, I will tease it here in a second. The next, the next one also is gonna feel a little bit like I'm trying to praise my own characters, but I will find one where I do think the opposing side will win. I will try to find one. But for now, Dexter wins. Here we go, clap it up, yay! I'm so glad to win this prestigious award. Had such competition with this short king. You can kind of see, also, I like how I managed to put him in the mat pat. I think that was kind of interesting. Okay, so on to teasing the next one. Ready? 3, 2, 1. That's all you get. But it's kind of similar because I do think my side is gonna win. But anyway, with that is gonna be all for the Psyron Fights episode, and I will see you. Wait, what? And I'll see you later, Dino Navy.
You could be vaping formaldehyde, which is used in taxidermy.
Oh dear.
What?
Formaldehyde. Oh dear.
What?
I knew it. Oh dear, oh dear.
What?
Aren't you an elk?
I don't know what I am.